Hundreds more young migrants being transferred to San Diego, this on the heels of a new report about the costs nationwide. In mourning at Buckingham Palace after the death of Prince Philip. A look back at his life and even some footage from a decades-old broadcast when he visited San Diego. And days before San Diego Unified welcomes back students for in-person learning, how another local district is already expanding its return plan. ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
Hundreds of minors seeking asylum at the convention center have been moved to make room for another group of unaccompanied children arriving in San Diego today. Local leaders standing together saying this is the best place for them at this time. ABC 10 News reporter Nate Holmes has learned many of the children are under the age of 12. Nate?
Well, Jim, according to local leaders, the children arriving are likely being paired with their older siblings. Now, we were here around 10 o'clock this morning when two large buses made their way to the convention center through this opening here, which is now closed. Now, we're told 300 teenage girls were transferred from the San Diego Convention Center to another site in Texas to make room for the younger children, ages 5 to 12. The emergency intake site started on March 27th with a focus on girls between the ages of 13 and 17. Then roughly 100 tender age kids with older sisters were taken in before the convention center reached its capacity. All this comes as we are learning more about the costs associated with taking care of these children. According to the Washington Post, a total of $60 million per week are being used nationwide as these kids are being housed in federal facilities. This equals about $775 a day per child. About 4,000 more children are waiting to be transferred from border facilities. And according to the Washington Post, the government expects between 22 and 26,000 more unaccompanied minors will arrive by September and require health and human services care. Local leaders say San Diego was chosen as the best place for the minors because of the high standards of care set by our local organizations. San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria and County Supervisors Nathan Fletcher and Nora Vargas released a joint statement saying, in part, regardless of the ages of the children arriving, San Diego will give them the compassionate support they need as they await the day they are connected with family members or guardians who will care for them here in the United States. Now, the hundreds of teens moved from the convention center will be transferred to a site in Fort Bliss, Texas. Live in downtown, Nate Holmes, ABC 10 News.
Nate, thank you so much. And take a look here. Sky 10 is overhead at San Diego International Airport right now, and capturing what we believe is the arrival. You see the jet there in that shot of these migrant children. This is a chartered flight coming from Brownsville, Texas. We could see a number of buses that appear to be lined up there. You see them right at the base of the gangway as those folks are walking down in the yellow vests. They are ready, presumably, to take those children to the convention center. Going to continue to keep an eye on this and follow this story and bring you updates throughout the day. Well, across the Atlantic, growing memorial outside Windsor Castle following the news this morning that Prince Philip has died. Flags at Buckingham Palace, along with many other English landmarks, being flown at half-staff. Cause of death still unclear, but Philip had been hospitalized several times in the last few years, most recently in February, before eventually undergoing a heart procedure. ABC's Julia McFarland has more on his life and how he's being remembered this morning.
Prince Philip died Friday morning in Windsor Castle at the age of 99, leaving behind his now widow, Queen Elizabeth, after 73 years of marriage. Buckingham Palace lowering its flags to half-staff, releasing a statement reading, "It is with deep sorrow that Her Majesty the Queen has announced the death of her beloved husband, His Royal Highness the Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. He passed away peacefully this morning at Windsor Castle. The royal family joined with people around the world in mourning his loss." British Prime Minister Boris Johnson reacting to the news, he said with great sadness.
"So we mourn today with Her Majesty the Queen. We offer our condolences to her and to all her family."
Tributes now pouring in from not just across Britain, but from around the world and the Commonwealth, to which Prince Philip dedicated much of his life in service. Born into the Greek royal family but later exiled from Greece, Philip eventually landed in England, joining the British Royal Navy at age 18, and soon after meeting a young Princess Elizabeth, whom he married in 1948.
Take thee, Philip.
Take thee, Philip.
The couple had 4 children: Charles, the current heir to the throne, Anne, Andrew, and Edward. The Queen honoured Prince Philip during the Golden Jubilee celebrations, marking her 50 years on the throne.
He is someone who doesn't take easily to compliments, but he has quite simply been my strength and stay all these years, and I and his whole family owe him a debt greater than he would ever claim, or we shall ever know.
At 96, the palace announced the prince would be withdrawing from public life, putting his royal feet up after 70 years of public service. Now begins an official period of 30 days of mourning for the British royal family. Queen Elizabeth called him her rock. She will now reign alone. Leaders from around the world have marked Philip's passing, and this morning President Biden offered his condolences, paying tribute to his decades of devoted public service, adding, "Jill and I are keeping the Queen and Prince Philip's children, grandchildren and great-grandchildren in our hearts during this time." Julia McFarlane, ABC News, London.
Today's news reminding us of the time decades ago that the royal family got the royal treatment here in San Diego.
San Diego rolls out the red carpet for Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
Yeah, blast from the past here. That is 10 News' coverage of a royal visit back in 1983. Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip both given a grand tour of the city. 10 News was there as the prince took a tour of the San Diego Zoo.
There was a brief walking tour through the new Heart of the Zoo exhibit, which included a view of some of the finest collections of rare and exotic wildlife.
Now that day, zoo officials gave Philip a medal for wildlife conservation. That footage, part of a special report that day covering the visit, and you can find a link to the whole broadcast on 10news.com's homepage. Well, as other school districts are scheduled to bring back students on campus next week, the Poway Unified School District will expand their reopening plan. ABC 10 News reporter Marie Cornell walks us through the changes.
After spring break, students in the Poway Unified School District will be on campus more often. The school board voted to expand the reopening plan. Now middle and high school students will have in-person learning 4 days a week. Prior to this, they were on campus twice a week. The elementary school kids who are already in school 5 days a week will be on campus for longer hours. Christine Peck, the Chief Communications Officer for the Poway Unified School District, says this decision was made because of the lower case rates, the county moving into the orange tier, and changes to CDC guidelines.
It used to be a recommended 6 feet, were changed to 3 feet, which allows us to have more students in a classroom.
ABC 10 News was there last month when Poway celebrated the return of students on campus. Christine says under this expanded plan, they can also start planning for a graduation ceremony on June 18th.
Students in the stadium with their caps and gowns. I know our seniors this year have been really looking forward to it and wondering how they're going to be able to finish off this really difficult year with some true, ceremony and celebration.
And Christine says if the public health conditions continue trending the way they are with the vaccine availability, they're confident students will be able to return to school full time.
As we plan for the fall, we will be offering full-time 5-day-a-week instruction for all grades TK through 12.
Marie Cornell, ABC 10 News.
Starting today, the Fleet Science Center is welcoming guests and unveiling a brand new exhibit and films. New Design Zone exhibit will allow visitors to see how design concepts become real-world experiences in the arts and entertainment fields. Center will also have its new IMAX film, Great Bear Rainforest, and continued showings of Turtle Odyssey. Center will follow all safety guidelines to keep visitors safe. Center will be open Mondays through Fridays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Well, this morning, the family of DMX saying that the rapper has passed away. DMX, whose real name is Earl Simmons, was admitted to a New York hospital earlier this month after suffering a heart attack. For years, he's had a public battle with drug addiction, and DMX debuted in 1998, quickly rose to prominence, becoming a staple of early 2000 hip-hop. Well, he also starred in several movies, his family releasing a statement saying Earl's music inspired countless fans across the world, and his iconic legacy will live on forever. He is survived by 15 children and his mother. DMX, Earl Simmons, was 50 years old.